pretty much just anything in London under 200,000 that's a house these days that is truly a house, I think is a deal. So this is what's kind of unique about it. It's 31 bachelor apartments.
Wow.
One has a stove. So let that sink in, and then it's also
what?
Yeah, so we'll get back to it.
The pertinent factors I'd be looking for in a smash or pass would be like location is number one for me. The second thing is like what is the property, and the third thing is like what are the current rents.
Yeah, again, exactly. You're right in the right spot. Yeah, seems like a deal to me. I would smash on that. What is up, YouTube? Seems like recently you guys have been really enjoying the deal analysis. So recently I did some deal analysis with Casey Wong. We did some with Kyle Ford. We did some with Kellen. Today we're going to be doing some more with Michael Rosehart. In today's video, Mike and I, we pitch each other deals that we've either looked at, deals that we've done, or deals that we're thinking about doing. I think this is a really cool video, but I want your feedback. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section down below. So jump in there, give me your feedback. Would you like this more often? Would you like this to become a reoccurring series? Me and Mike, we want to create more content together, but we need your inspiration. Otherwise, let's dive into today's video. What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here with Mike Rosehart, and we're back for an episode of Smash or Pass. In today's video, we're going to approach it a little bit differently. We're not going to be doing so much a screen share, but these are going to be deals that Mike and myself have either looked at in the past, bought in the past, or assigned in the past. And we're just going to start off by describing some of the basic details here for you guys. And what I'm hoping you're really going to take away from this video is you're going to see that we don't need to see every single detail about property in order to have a high level understanding of what's going on with the deal or what the opportunity looks like. So I'll start off first because this is kind of my game and I made up the rules. So here we go, Mike. So first thing I'm going to be talking to you about is a multifamily property here in London, Ontario. So we got a multifam. It's going to be 14 units. They're all 2-bed, 1 bath. It's in what I would consider kind of a A- location. So I'll give you the exact location. So it's near Cheapside and Adelaide, to give you perspective. So it's technically east of Adelaide, but like literally if you could throw a baseball, you could throw it to the west side of Adelaide. So we're pretty much right on the intersection there, Cheapside and Adelaide area. Okay. And so this was a private deal. Started talking with the seller, and long story short, he wanted a lot of money for this deal. So a lot. I initially made him an offer of, I initially offered 1.2 million. And he countered and said we were close. And so he came back at 1.99.
Close.
So yes, so it turns out our definitions of close were a little bit different than what I initially thought. But he was 1.1 or 1.99. That's kind of like my lowest offer I'm willing to go here. His average rents were about, $786.
Did you ever see those ones on Goddard? Those two, like, pretty close there. I think it was Goddard. That was like a 9-plex and a...
I know which ones you're talking about. This is not it, but yeah. So this is like, you know, a boxy, purpose-built apartment building. So it's like a 2.5-story walk-up. It's very purpose-built, like flat roof, yeah, 70s construction. And all that good stuff, pretty dated.
I'm supposed to make a decision, right? As soon as I know?
So yeah, at whatever point you know the information. So then the only other piece of information that I think that you likely need to know is that there was a VTB involved.
That might be,
this VTB.
That might be back in. Right. wait.
So this VTB looked like it was going to be 75% loan to value, give or take. It might have worked out to like 76% or something. But so 75% loan to value, 4% interest only payments.
Interest only is attractive. Now we're talking about potentially having cash flow.
Yeah, 5 years. And it came with 2 vacant units.
2 vacant units is a plus, especially given that average rents are low for the area. Looks like.
And then also there was a storage room that no one uses that can be converted into either a 1-bed or a bachelor apartment. Wow. So we can also add 1 + 1 unit. And so the only other things that you maybe need to know about this, 14 units, but it actually has 28 parking spaces. So just a little bit,
Lots of parking.
a little weird, but yeah. It's also got a high density zoning. So based on the current lot size, you could easily add another 9 units to the property if you wanted to down the road. So also it's got a little bit of a redevelopment.
Interesting play. Or even just build a garage and put storage or something units. And
so that was one other little factor that kind of came into play. So this is a high level what the deal looked like. Now, I guess if you need any other additional information, just based upon the operations and the rent roll and things of that nature, with these 2 units vacant, you would at market rents, once you were done updating them, you'd maybe be cash flowing $500, $1,000 a month with the property. So to me, the real play here was if you could get consistent tenant turnover, you could bring your gross rents up and then you'd have like a strong cash flow play. So that's pretty much the deal. If you need any other information, let me know and I can provide it to you.
cool. So if I was looking at this deal, the things that would be important to me, I guess. Yeah, let's do a different color. I like that. Red.
Hot swap.
Spicy. Let's get the spicy colors on here. Okay, so if I was looking at this deal, you're like $2 million, closing costs, everything else. You're gonna be out of pocket, like, I don't know, how much is renovations and all that kind of stuff you wanted to do roughly?
You probably 10 to 15 a unit.
Okay, so you got like 30,000 there, plus does the parking lot need anything or any other renovations?
No, that's all.
It's all in good shape?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at like, I don't know, between, let's just say around 500K with closing costs, right, of cash?
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more, I don't know, depending on what the plan is for the property. But around 500K cash in, and you're looking at $1,000 a month cash flow now, but a lot of upside in the future if you can get those units turned over. And that would probably be the strategy here, is that over time you'd have natural
and for us, that's why the 5 years on the VTB was so important, because we didn't know what sort of tenant turnover we could immediately generate. But based upon our personal experiences, usually just naturally we're going to get kind of 10% turnover per year.
Yeah.
Then if you put in some consistent effort, our thoughts were we could improve that.
Okay. I like that. I actually don't think it's a bad deal, by the way, and I don't know, you actually bought this one probably. Yeah, okay. So I don't want to shit on the deal too.
No, but like go ahead, because I think it's also great for the audience to see that there's multiple different ways to approach a deal.
I actually had a 9-plex and an 8-plex there that could have been mine. So it would have been 9 and 8, 17 units, and it had a potential as well for 1.79. So like they were 2 separate parcels, and I actually turned them down, and now I regret it because some
that was
deals
behind the shoppers.
Around there,
okay, yeah.
Like I actually walked away on those, and I regret it because my old rule of thumb was I never wanted to pay more than 99K a unit.
Yeah.
And that was just like my old.
And for the record, I think we're paying about 142 a unit here, so definitely way higher than my comfort zone would normally be.
Exactly. But there is some redevelopment potential here. I see why you got it, and I can see why you smashed on it. The VTB is also really, really interesting. Those 2 pieces of information made this $2 million seem more reasonable. In my opinion, I would say it's a B location. Like I would call like Richmond and Oxford like an A- or an A location. A B location would be anything further from the downtown core. I would call like the Lux rentals like an A+ right beside Western Gates.
Yes.
You'd pay $200,000, $300,000 a unit there. So I would say it's a B location, but again, a solid location for having multifamily rentals. Nothing wrong with this location at all. Easily rent it, and the area's come up quite a bit from what it was even 5 or 10 years ago in London. So that's awesome. All the units are 2-bed, which is like bigger units. That's why you pay a little bit more of a premium per unit. This unit price would depend on the type of units you had. If it was all bachelor units, that would be a lot different than looking at all 2 or 3 bedroom units. So that's a consideration. The 4% interest only is actually quite attractive, especially because when you're getting a vendor take back deal, it always makes it more attractive in the sense that you don't have to go through all the stress associated with financing a property, and you've been through that, right? So you know that like financing a property is stressful. You don't have any stress now. He's just giving you a vendor take back. There's no like.
And he doesn't care where our source of funds are coming or anything of that nature as well, which makes it a lot easier.
Borrow the funds if you wanted to from like Aunt Joe, and all of a sudden, boom, now you're in a zero down deal. So if you could borrow the funds using your network, which I'm sure that you could borrow the funds at say like 10% from someone. I'm sure that your cash on cash return would actually be positive on that borrowed money. Even if you didn't have any cash flow now, long term you'd have a good amount of cash. So on 500,000 cash, let's say you borrowed at like 10 or 12%. you could theoretically be in a negative cash flow position if your down payment came from those sources, right? So you'd be negative cash flow from day one now, but the goals that you might have right now as a YouTube viewer is like, hey, getting cash flow to quit your job are not the same goals that Matt has now.
Yeah.
I think Matt's trying to build a legacy similar to myself. We're not focused on cash flow as much as we were before. You probably have lots of cash flow from your other properties that you're maybe looking for something to build a legacy or to have a big appreciation upswing down the road, or some forced equity through, you know, tenant attrition, turnover, that kind of stuff. So this could be a really solid deal for the right person who's looking for that. For myself right now, I've had a lot of media attention related to like evicting tenants and things like that. So the whole buying a property that has low rents and then getting rid of the tenants, that whole argument, I don't want to be part of that conversation right now in my life, but at a future time, I might be into it.
Well, and for us, that's why getting 2 of the units vacant on closing was important, because I wanted to make sure that this just cash flowed as is, so that I didn't feel like I was sitting on a ticking time bomb where I was like, shit, I have to get turnover, I have to force this, da-da-da-da-da.
A lot of what I've seen in the market anyway, I think a lot of the properties are selling at like a lot of properties will post their property at market rent. Like they'll sell it at like, this is what it's worth if it was rented. But it's like trying to go and post your property that has holes in the roof and be like, but it's gonna be like this one, it's fixed up. I always like a significant discount in order to go through the work of changing over the tenants and fixing all the units up. So in my opinion, if I'm buying something at 142K a unit, I would like, you know, to either have it already be done and have the tenants fixed up, or I want to buy it at a significant enough discount that it's worth my time. And for me, like I guess I'm valuing my time at a really high rate. So for me, I would pass on this deal, but not that it isn't a good deal. And I think that it has a lot of potential. This stuff here makes it very attractive. There's some interesting stuff with CMHC that you can do where you can get 15% down in apartment buildings. So that's
the only thing is they would never evaluate it at this price model because of their cap rate calculations, but yes.
Yeah, so if you could get it in the sweet spot of the price that you might want, where the units have turned over enough that you're getting the right cap rates, and you could bring it to CMHC, you can buy apartment buildings for 15% down. So your COC, or cash on cash return, is higher in those situations because you're a lot less levered. The interest rates and the fees associated with that would honestly be probably less than 4%, but you wouldn't have interest only. You'd have principal pay down you'd have to do. So that's
realistically, if I had to guess, they're probably going to evaluate this building at 1 to 1.2 million in value. So you're going to end up having to put a lot more cash down in that scenario.
Correct. So in this situation, this is the best financing possible for this deal by a long shot, because again, it is interest only. If you're having to make principal payments, you'd be in an extremely negative cash flow position, right? So that wouldn't be great at all. Overall, I think it could be a solid deal. As far as cash flow goes, like, I think you would be in a negative cash flow position, but when you're developing land or getting a parcel, you're often in a negative cash flow position for many years until you get to that finish point, right? Where there's that big refi or big sale. I don't think this one has a huge refi potential right now, but in the long term it could, especially if you were to develop some of this guy over here. For me, like, the pertinent factors I'd be looking for in a smash or pass would be like location is number one for me. Like that's the first thing that matters to me. The second thing is like what is the property? So like a 14 unit and what kind of beds and baths. And the third thing is like what are the current rents? And that matters a lot to me because that's a big factor. If they're at market rent, that's a lot different to me than if they're, you know, under rented, right? That's a lot of work associated. I'd actually prefer a property that's had like the police rate it than have a tenant in a property. It's worth more it's easier for me to fix it. I just put some money in, some time, fix it. The unknown is the tenants. Often
there's a lot of value in vacancies.
Yes, the vacancy to me is worth, I would rather all units trash and vacant than have okay units with tenants in them that are unknown factors. Could be 6, 8, 12 months of non-payment of rent in the current Ontario system. We should do a shout out right now to the Landlord Tenant Board system. The RTA is currently extremely broken. If it was changed right now, there was a radical change to the RTA, I'd be so down to start buying properties. Like I was just in Orlando, Florida on vacation, and I was looking at some properties there, and you can just raise the rent with 60 days notice to whatever you want. And it's like, get out or pay it. That kind of, like this kind of stuff that's going on in other places in the world, tenants have to pay market rent. Here they're allowed to like basically stay in these units for below cost, which is unfair, and it puts a burden on a landlord that's not fair. And we can't even evict a tenant if they don't pay rent.
Yeah, and without like going deeply down that rabbit hole, I think the problem is people want to treat shelter as this really special sort of commodity. But realistically, like, could you imagine getting to guarantee the price of bread or milk for the rest of your life, where you're like, well, I bought it for 50 cents when I was originally born, so like I should get to keep paying the same price for bread because that's what I'm used to paying. Like that's literally insane logic, and like anyone could see the fallacy there. But for some reason we have this halo effect around shelter. I've done a whole separate video on the landlord tenant board about rent pricing or rent fixing, or essentially rent control if you guys want to use the PC term on it. But realistically, the problem there is that we're just not aligning the interests of the landlord, the public, and just tenants in general. We're actually pitting them all against each other. Terrible recipe. But Mike, pitch me on a deal.
Okay, let's do another page then. Yeah, the only reason we went into that rabbit hole is I think it's important when you're looking at multifamily to understand, if you're getting investing into that, you need to understand the RTA. So go take a read of the Residential Tenancy Act, or RTA, to understand what your current rights are. In Ontario here, you can't steal food or water, but you can steal rent, and it's not criminally chargeable. So just look out for that, guys. I'll do a deal we recently just bought. It was actually from a wholesaler hooked us up with the deal. So I think it was, so we got this location there on Highbury, decently busy street, has parking. We got it for, I think it was $164K plus wholesale fee. I think it was $179K all in. And 15K. This is like one of the more recent deals. I have two more that we just did, but so you're in it for 179K. The deal comes up. It's currently, when we bought it, a 2-bed, 1-bath.
For the record, I think I would buy it. Pretty much just anything in London under 200,000 that's a house these days that is truly a house, I think is a deal. But go on.
Detached house with parking, has a very large 1.5 car detached garage in the back. So there's a garage detached in the back. But the beautiful thing about it is there's a separate entrance, and the basement has a decent enough ceiling height that if you just put a door under the low spot in the basement where it's 6 foot, the rest of it would be all like 7 foot and legal. And egress windows could be cut in above grade with no window well. So I see it as a duplex conversion play. So that's like another plus, just like people looking, is partially finished basement, but unfinished basement. One room is finished down there, but mostly unfinished basement with decent headroom. And what other pertinent details would you find valuable to want to know about the property?
Like, what was your expected renovation budget?
So
again, I think that I could already say that I would buy it, but yeah, I think that that's something that the audience would definitely get value from.
Okay, so in this property, I think if you were just to clean up the upstairs, it actually had like a nice subway tile. Like it was actually renovated pretty nice on the main floor, to be honest. I wouldn't do much of anything, maybe like $1,000. But the basement, if you wanted to make it a duplex conversion, I would say you're in the 20 to like 28K reno, because it is a small house. Again, like probably 600 square feet up and then down, right? So a very small house. Yeah, you're probably 20 to 28K reno. I think we're almost done it, so I would say it's probably, yeah, we got to be near around 25,000 all in, and that was because the mentee was putting in a lot of like the sweat equity.
Sure.
To help keep.
So we're about 210. Even if, let's say, we discount sweat equity, we're maybe 220 all in on the property.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I think if you did it super lean and you didn't do the finishes like that we were going for, I think you could do it for like all in like another 21K to just like get the basement refinished. It's so small that like flooring and paint doesn't take that much, and it was already, the exterior walls were already finished on 3 walls, so that kind of helped us too.
And what would you say the ARV is going to be?
I honestly think, so market rent, and by the way, it came vacant, and that's like pretty much all I'm buying my properties today, which is extremely valuable. They left, so that was a big boon to the overall plan. And it's like a decently spacious 2-bed, so I think the market rent for the main floor is about $1,395 plus. We would just do inclusive because it isn't separately metered, but you could separately meter it. In my opinion, I think separately metering here in London doesn't add a whole lot of value. The tenants won't pay anymore, and I just split the utilities on the lease like based on square footage. I say you pay 60%, you pay 40%, or a set amount. So I do inclusive up to a limit typically, or I'll do like, hey, you pay this percentage of the utilities, and most tenants are cool with that. So this one can't be separately, or could be, but it isn't in this case. It had central air, believe it or not, which was an amazing plus too. Like there were some things that were just like, wow, the furnace is like 2 years old. That's an amazing plus. So $1,395, I think, upstairs, and then you get $1,195. It's a 2-bed down and 2-bed up now, and you get $1,195 in the basement pretty safely, and then the garage could be $175 a month because it's a pretty good sized garage. So I think that this is how I built my ARV. Is I didn't even look at comps. I went and looked at income, and I said, this is what I know it's worth. As a realtor, I know what I can sell it for based on the income it's getting. So if you were to add those up real quick, we're looking at what, 14, 24, 26, around $2,800 a month. So I think it's worth around $300,000.
Yep.
So there's a decent enough spread there that it seems like a pretty solid.
And I think the comps would support it too. Like I'm going to guess the comps would be 275 to 3 1/4. So again, you're right in the right spot. Yep, seems like a deal to me. I would smash on that.
Cashflow Tribe.
Hey YouTube, have you checked out Cashflow Tribe yet? It doesn't matter whether you're an experienced, seasoned investor or brand new to the game. I can probably predict if you're currently not having the level of success you want as a real estate investor, it's due to one thing. That one thing is you're not making enough offers, plain and simple. You need to be making more offers as a real estate investor if you want to hit those big, audacious goals that you're setting for yourself. So here's the deal. Cashflow Tribe, that's the community that myself and Ben were making together. And so Ben's actually so busy trying to provide value to you guys that he had to take off there. But here's the deal. Cashflow Tribe is really a one-of-a-kind community focused on results. That's the difference between us and everyone else. We want to get you guys those results. I'm tired of seeing people commenting on my YouTube channel for 2-3 years now, but they're not making offers. What's holding you back? I'm going to guess that it's either a lack of confidence or a lack of competence. And we cover both of those things in Cashflow Tribe. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you guys a 7-day free trial offer. You can join Cashflow Tribe completely free, get to test it out. If you like it, great, stay and pay. If you don't, well, I hope you at least find one great idea that you can take away and use to start making more offers, gain more deals, and finally start making the money related to real estate investing that's probably why you're watching my YouTube channel. So let's do this, guys. Let's make 2020 your year.
Cashflow Tribe.
So I think it's worth around $300,000.
Yep.
So there's a decent enough spread there that it seems like a pretty solid.
And I think the comps would support it too. Like I'm going to guess the comps would be 275 to 3 1/4. So again, you're right in the right spot. Yep, seems like a deal to me. I would smash on that. Do you got another one in the chamber?
Yeah, I'll fire another one. So, okay. I bought this property sight unseen, by the way. I've never been inside of it. Like, they called me with these pertinent details, and I'm like, yep, done.
Yeah, and again, I think it's probably the
cash closed in a couple weeks.
The price point was like vacancy and the price point were the big takeaways for you, right?
Exactly. I saw some photos, and my only question was like, what is the height in the basement, and can you tell me what those stairs look like? And it was like, okay, I'm good. And being able to act quickly does get you a better deal. Being able to close in cash does get you a better deal. We're going to BRRRR this, so despite the fact that we did close in cash, basically, we can go and refinance that and have no money in the deal. So that's an overall win for the mentee and for
and again, just while Mike's drawing out the numbers on this new deal, I'll break down some of the BRRRR numbers on the deal he was showing us before. So if we assume that we were 220 all in, and we're going to get an ARV of 300,000, that would bring us to 240 for our new mortgage at an 80% loan to value, which all of a sudden, boom, that means you're actually going to walk away with an extra $20,000 in cash from what you started with.
Yep, exactly. Next deal would be one I just got off MLS, actually, but I'll give you the details. So this one's at Adelaide and Oxford. Okay. So I would say it's like a B+ location. Yep. Right on Oxford. You might call it A- because it's right on Oxford there. It's like 6 houses off, but we'll say like B+ location. It's not quite Richmond and Oxford, but it's decent. The house is currently, so it was a house zoned to office space. Okay. Previously in 2009 was a house. They turned it into an office space and used it as such. The zoning used to allow for actually duplexes right on the, allowed that previously. And I think at one time it was a duplex. They converted it into a house and then converted it into an office. Okay. So 185K. for this property. Has 6 parking spots in the back. Just closed on that in 2020.
This was on the MLS, eh?
Yeah.
That seems great.
It was like 200 on the MLS, but I negotiated them down a bit, which is...
And it was west of Adelaide or east?
On Adelaide.
Oh, okay.
And I would say... So if you're looking at Oxford, it's slightly south of Oxford.
Okay, cool.
The location's like, it's really close to like some of your properties there.
Yeah.
So great potential. As soon as I walked in, it has 2 large bedrooms with 9-foot ceilings on the second floor, and the main floor has 9-foot ceilings too. So the height right away is like a huge win. In great condition, the floors and paint were good, so I didn't even have to paint.
Yeah.
We're going to restore it back to the duplex that it was. It was actually already roughed in for like the 2 kitchens in the basement there. It's unfinished basement, so you can't do much there with that. So unfinished basement, just mechanicals. You could put laundry down there, but the headroom is not, it's like 6'1.5" or something down there. So for laundry or something, you could do that. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that if you're gonna have it city inspected, but it's something you could kind of do in that space. Sort of just call it landlord storage, whatever. It is fused, but the sockets are all grounded, so you might have to upgrade the panel at some point. Other pertinent details, has parking. It has a laneway in behind that is privately maintained, so you could drive right through the driveway off Adelaide and go all the way through to the back, which is kind of like a bonus, I would think, for trying to get more parking spots in there.
And it came vacant?
Came vacant, which was like, again, another thing. I'm not buying properties with tenants in them for the most part now. I'm trying to just find vacant.
Yeah, again, so I think I could already make a decision based upon this. Literally, Mike just had to say the price point, and again, assuming it's a house, I would say yes, I would buy it, so.
Detached house kind of worked out okay. The challenges are gonna have to be rezoning it back, because again, I think in like 2011, they converted it to office use. So the taxes are like $4,500 now because they've made it commercial, or even 5,000 maybe. So that's like a negative.
Not ideal, yeah.
That's kind of crappy about it. And then rezoning with the city and getting the change of use converted back to what it was before is doable, because it was that, only a few years before, just one owner changed the use of it. We have to reinstate what is there. So like they left the stove plug, thankfully, but took the stove out and fridge out and just used it as like a big office. So restoring that obviously is going to cost us a bit. My rental budget is about 38,000, I think was what I figured. We can call it 40K just to be safe. But I'm restoring it to a 2-bed. It's 2-bed, 2-bath, 1 unit on the main floor, and then a 2-bed, 1-bath upstairs, and part of the main floor entrance with separate entrances. So I think market rents, and you could even Airbnb in this location is probably the way I would go. It has the commercial zoning, so I could even just like long-term just put an Airbnb and say, hey, like it's already zoned for that. In the office spaces, I think it actually allows this kind of stuff. So I think, the 2-bed, 2-bath, you should be able to, it's actually 1.5, sorry. But it has 1 ensuite, which is kind of cool, and then a separate one for guests. This one I think could rent for around $1,600 because it's just really nice. And then I think the 2-bed, 1-bath upstairs is not as nice, maybe like $1,200. What do you think about that with a 2-bed? Like,
I think it really to me comes down to the size and like if it's got some character and shit like that, but definitely those prices seem reasonable.
So I figure about $2,800 a month in rent, and so I figure my ARV is around 300K. Conservatively. You can maybe squeeze a little bit more out of it because it did have that commercial zoning. People like that.
Is this brick or siding?
It's sided.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think 300K is a very reasonable one. If it was like one of those like, historic looking brick ones, I think even 350, right, would be pretty easy to justify.
Full BRRRR, and again on MLS, like still getting deals on MLS that people overlook, right? And just because they weren't looking on the commercial side of MLS, right? And just snap her up and away you go. But yeah, I think this is another deal that, what else would you look for if you were trying to analyze? Yeah,
like to me, based upon the price point and just where sales are in our market, again, anything under 200,000 that's structurally sound, that to me is pretty much a green light at this point. I think that assuming the market stays the same or continues on the trajectory it's at, I think that very soon we'll be looking back at anything sub 300,000 as a deal in London, Ontario. So that's really how we're training and informing our wholesalers these days, is like anything under 200,000, we should probably just lock it up and figure it out later. Anything that's in the 200 to 300 range, if it's got some size to it, if it's a decent sized building, or if it's got multiple units, again, let's tie it up and figure out the details later. So
yeah, exactly. That was this one too. Like I just made a quick call. Believe it or not, they gave me a 60-day close, so it kind of worked out nice for like getting financing. But yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Yeah, so I can do one more and then you can go and do one. Do you want me to fire them all off while they're in the bank? So this one we just closed actually just before like the end of December. So 2019 deal, but okay, so this was another MLS deal. People are gonna be like, Mike, how do you keep buying all these MLS deals? This one's a little bit more tricky maybe. So listed at, okay, so we got it 305, but listed a little bit more. 305,000, south of Fanshawe, north of Dundas, off of 2nd Street.
Okay.
So in that kind of like definitely Fanshawe rental potential because it is north of Dundas.
So you meant south of Fanshawe College.
South of Fanshawe College, north of Dundas.
Cool.
So in that kind of area between 1st and 2nd Street kind of area. So decent area, 305,000.
Is this like your stereotypical bungalow looking property?
Bungalow looking property, currently has 6 beds.
Okay. 2 baths.
And 2 baths, but the finishes in this house are like top notch.
Okay.
Everything's done really, really well with the river rock in the bathroom. The kitchen's like brand new, double fridges, egress windows in every single one of the basement rooms. Just passes legal headroom when you go down the head under the bulkhead. So it's like totally legal, 6-bed, 2-bath, but listed as like 4 beds. So they kind of messed it up. With unfortunately, one of the negatives I'll say is has tenants in it. So 4 of the rooms are rented to random dudes at $400 a bedroom recently. Like someone decided that was market rent like months ago. And for correction, in London, most people are getting like in this area $550 to $575 a bed. They're huge rooms that could fit like 2 queen beds in them, and they're getting them for like $400, $400 to like $495 for the largest one. So under rented, unfortunately, and tenants. 2 of them are okay to go when we talk to them, walk through the property. 2 of them are like, I probably want to stay. You have to pay me some money to leave. Yeah. So that's basically the situation of it. Owner doesn't want us to offer them anything until after it's closed, so we can't even talk to them and offer them money to leave. So that's a bit of a negative. But here's the sweet silver lining. Huge addition on the back. Okay. With 12-foot ceilings. Easily a bachelor apartment in itself. Self-contained heating. A big addition put on maybe 10 years ago. So a newer addition. Well done. Like properly on poured slab on the back. So that's a sweetener. So it could be plus a bachelor apartment and 6 beds. Decent amount of parking. The shed in the back.
Is this south or north of the tracks?
I have to look on the map, to be honest.
Like, would you consider a walking distance to Fanshawe?
No, it's. Okay. I think it might be just south of the tracks.
Gotcha.
Or like right on them.
Yeah. And the reason I ask is I think there is a bit of a price point difference between where you are. Like if you're truly walking distance on 2nd Street, the price points I think are different than if you're not walking distance to Fanshawe. Yeah. Same time, I think at 305, especially with the fact that it's got the back addition, to me, that's enough information that again, I'd probably be able to green light doing that deal. Recently on, I forget, Hansold or Howland, one of those streets, we bought a property for like 305, 310, and that's the one we actually showed the flip on my YouTube channel. So we were able to sell that property for 375. Now I'd say a better location compared to this, but it didn't have the benefit of the addition, though it did have a detached 2-car garage. So yeah, it definitely seems like there's potential here.
Our plan with this, one of the reasons we smashed was secondary dwelling unit conversion. It was like a wall. And you're done. Yeah. And like the plumbing was like right there. So to put in that 3rd washroom and have that little kitchenette was just right near the main stack. The addition was just like laid out in such a way that it worked out perfectly for that. So for us, I think market rent is around $3,000 a month because it is a really spacious, plus about $1,095 for the spacious back unit. So I'm going $4,100 a month in rent. I think ARV is around $425 to $440. Okay, when it's done up in that way as a legal secondary dwelling unit with rental license. So for us, it's a full burr, and we smash. But it's interesting. There was another offer.
And what's your expected renovations, just so that the audience?
$25K. It's done up really nice. It's just that literally a wall, a kitchen, a bath, and like we're gonna bougie up the back unit. To be honest with you, like my mentee's gonna do some of the work himself, so we'll probably get it for 15. But I'm gonna say if you outsource everything, it'd be 25. So full burr. Interestingly, there was another offer on the property and the person walked. They're like, oh no, I can't deal with, like, the rents are too low to cash flow. and just not seeing that like
the potential,
there are two other rooms just sitting vacant, or like the fact that like you could just get market rents. And this might be a stretch at 3,000. Like that would be the max I could get. Probably it'd be like 2,800 to 3,000, and here it'd be like 1,000 to 1,095. On Airbnb we would get more. That's probably the way we're going to go with it.
Cool.
But yeah, so this is what other details would you want to know?
Again, for me, I think I could easily make a decision just based on the price point and the fact it's got that extra addition. So I think it's a pretty obvious deal. Yeah, let's
fire swap.
I was shocked that this thing was allowed on the market and just sat there, but we bought it for 2.75 mil.
Nice.
It has, I guess for location, it really depends. I'm going to call it an A location. I'm really curious what you would call it. So Dundas and King would be King and Richmond would be the nearest intersection. Okay. So like it's literally a block from Budweiser Gardens. It's a block from Fanshaw's downtown campus. It's a block from City Plaza, and like just a block or two from London Life's building.
Definitely
so like
in the A- to A. Definitely.
So boom, we've got an approved A- location here, guys. It's right now. So this is what's kind of unique about it. It's 31 bachelor apartments.
Wow.
One has a stove. So let that sink in, and then it's also
what?
Yeah, so we'll get back to it. And then it's got one commercial unit that's rented to a restaurant for $28.75 or something like that, and they're paying some of their property taxes and they're paying their utilities and stuff. Long story short, our gross rents per year are around $255,000. So what's going on here is the owners have really carved out their own special niche with this property. So way back in the day, it used to be a hotel. Then it was converted to a senior residence, so for like a senior home. Then it's been converted into grad students, and they're particularly targeting international grad students. So the longest lease here is dating back to 2016. So they've got high tenant turnover, which is interesting to me. Now, when you hear only one of the 31 bachelor apartments have a stove, you're likely thinking this is a very small bachelor apartment. It's not big, but it's not actually that small. So if I had to guess, I'd probably say we're looking at like maybe 300 to 400 square feet per bachelor apartment. So again, not a mansion, but like they all have their own dedicated bathroom. They've got a kitchenette. They don't have a stove.
It's like hotel style.
Yeah, but like again, it's the way it is a bachelor apartment, but they've got like a half wall up where the bedroom then faces the window and stuff, so it feels almost like a small one bedroom, if that makes sense. Like
I would already smash.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So then the only other details you need to know about this is like there's some quirky stuff going on. So it's got a 700 square foot atrium on the second floor that's just for people to chill and hang out. It's 2 stories tall, and just really strange. It's got a bike storage room that could be converted into a storefront quite easily, and that's probably another 400 square feet of dead space.
Wow.
So really what we were looking at when we were looking at this play was, okay, like the gross rents aren't bad as is. In fact, they're now, when they get a new vacant unit coming up, they're renting it for like $775 a unit. So for me, where I think the real interestingness was, once we started peeling back the layers here, there was actually additional information, and we find this happens often with these larger multifamily properties, where there's more to the numbers than what they initially show us. So one thing is you're paying all utilities here because they're bachelor apartments, but what's great is the heat source is in-floor heating through London Energy because it's right downtown, so it's got like in-floor heat, so very affordable on that front. What's also interesting is the seller's daughters actually live in 2 of the units and don't pay rents. And unlike most sellers, they didn't juice their gross rents. They literally, like, this is what they file on their tax returns. So there's like literally 2 vacant units that aren't being counted for rents, right? So like right off, I was like, okay, here we go. And then we were like, okay, we could probably turn this into a commercial unit. This we could either leave and start trying to really charge a premium because there's this special amenity, or we could probably convert this into, depending on how much work you want to do, 1 to 3 units could be found in this space because it is 2 stories high. So that was high level what the background is on this deal. Again, on the MLS, it was originally listed for $3 million. And I don't think that would have ruined the deal for us, but because we were able to negotiate down a bit, it started to really look like a solid deal here once we were at, like, I think that works out to like 85 a unit. So
smash.
Yeah.
Other things I might want to know are, what are the leases? Are they on leases, most of these tenants?
Yes,
or?
so pretty much everyone's on leases, but they are all grad students. So again, the oldest one is 2016 for a tenancy, and it seems like they're usually averaging about 20 to 30% turnover every year. So
that's actually really interesting, because if he had said the tenant profile to me was like crackheads or something.
No, and that's what I thought I'd be walking into, to be honest. I thought we were going to be walking into a lot of geared to income housing, a lot of people with social integration issues, things of that nature. And that would have dramatically changed my back of the envelope calculation here if it was all, you know, agencies and things of that nature that were tenanting it. Because also these units, while mildly dated, are in great shape. So like, it's got like very commercial grade carpeting and things of that nature, but it's all solid. Like there's not like cigarette holes or things of that nature. It's just like, it wouldn't be my first choice in today's market, but it's all very serviceable as is.
Yeah, so. No, that's definitely attractive. If you have a football range of like what you're willing to pay per unit, as soon as you hear like grad student, high turnover, grad students are very reasonable people, so you could approach them and like work something out if you wanted to renovate a unit or get it a vacant. It'd be very easy to do that. Whereas like someone with social integration issues, it's like, I'm staying here forever, and my room is full of garbage. Like I'm never leaving, and even if I do leave, I'm not going to leave it nice for you. So that's definitely a plus. I already said I would smash before, but like these numbers are great. I think the ARV of this could be like in the 4 million range when you're done.
That's where we're kind of hoping. We're hoping that we can bring these rents closer to 350 to maybe even as high as 400, depending on our final use.
Airbnb, like I was thinking on Airbnb, you could maybe get like almost $500,000.
Yeah, so that's definitely something we're taking into consideration. It's against, we would need on-site management at this scale just because of the number of units and things of that nature.
Sounds like a mentee project.
Yeah, so we'll see what we're going to do with it, but I think there is a lot of potential here. We're really excited to dive into it. But I'd love to hear from the audience. What did you guys think about this video? Did you enjoy this video? Do you want to see me and Mike sit down more often and literally just pitch each other on different deals we've been looking at? Because we could probably spend a lifetime just talking about the deals we've looked at that we've either smashed, passed, or been indifferent on. So jump in the comment section. Let us know whether you want us to do more videos like this, because Mike and I, we're open to your suggestions. Let us know in that video description or comment section down below. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching this video. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Make sure you go jump over and check out Mike Rosehart on YouTube. You're still doing like a video once a week?
Yeah, every Wednesday.
Wednesday. So
free question and answer.
There you go, guys. And then otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again to Mike Rosehart for taking the time to sit down with me and pitch me some of his deals and listen to me pitch some of my deals as well. If you guys are enjoying these analysis videos, well, this is a lot like what we do in Cashflow Tribe. So if you guys want to check out Cashflow Tribe, actually, you know what? We'll throw a link in the video description down below. You guys can jump over there. We'll give you a free 7-day trial so you can test it out, see if you like it, get a feel for what Cashflow Tribe's all about. But there's a ton of stuff there. We have dozens and dozens of hours of on-demand content. We've got tools and other resources. We also give priority access to our private deals to Cashflow Tribe members. So again, fantastic resource for new, beginner, and more intermediate and even advanced investors. Check out Cashflow Tribe. Otherwise, if you guys enjoyed this video, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. I'll see you in the next video.